Welcome to Dose of Social, your recipe for social media success. I'm Lindsay Mauk.
I'm Kayla Pearlstein.
And this is Dose of Social. So I am very excited for today's guest. Today's guest is a friend of both me and Kayla, who we've known for quite a long time. I've known her for over 10 years now. She is a wonderful person and just PR industry veteran, and it is AJ Feuerman.
Thank you for that musical introduction. I like the drums.
Air drums.
I feel like I should be like, hi, Joseph Social. Yeah.
So, AJ, I remember meeting you back in the day. I had first started my consulting business, and I went on a Google meetup for Social Media Club LA, and you popped up on the screen, and then the rest is history.
And
do you remember that?
I do, and I'm so sorry. Yes, I do remember that. And I think also you and I bonded in particular because not only are we both from LA, but we kind of grew up in the same area.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And we're both dog lovers.
Both dog lovers. And yeah, we had some mutual friends in the area too. Shout out to Lisa Kasparian if you're listening to this.
I'm sure Lisa's just sitting on the edge of her seat waiting for that.
Yeah. And then fast forward a few years, AJ and I have always stayed connected through the blogging community, which was back then the blogging community, then kind of became influencer, now creators. And then Kayla got involved with Social Media Club in, what year was that, Kayla? 2016? 17-ish?
I do not remember, but sounds about right.
I don't know. I started working with Social Media Club in like 2009 or 10. So it was like a really substantial part of my life for about a decade, I want to say. Was I the president at that time?
I think Lindsay was president, but you were still on the board because I remember meeting you and I was like, AJ is hilarious. I need to get to know her better.
Thank you.
And I think we actually did a panel together about how you handle.
No, but I know we did because I was actually I've been building my new business website and I was going through old pictures and I saw a picture of that panel. So
yeah,
was it
crisis management?
Crisis in social media.
Yeah. I think I moderated it and you were on that panel. So
yeah.
And since I just saw the picture, I was wearing this color.
Yeah. Oh.
I really like green.
How ironic.
I like green too, even though I'm not wearing any, but all right. Well, that was a really long-winded intro there, but I think it sets a stage for a great conversation that we're going to have today about restaurant PR and social media.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
All right. So AJ, can we go ahead and get started by having you introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background and how you got started in PR?
Yeah, sure. Well, so initially I actually went to film school and I majored in screenwriting. And I've always loved writing. I wrote my first book in a composition book when I was 7 years old. So I came back to LA eventually and, I went through that whole early 20s existential, who am I? What do I want to do with my life crisis? Long story short, I found myself in graduate school. I picked communications as a major because it was broad and we didn't want to do math. So business school was out. And, the very first class I took was called Entertainment and the Internet, which was basically a social media class, but this was in 2006. So no one was saying the term social media yet. And they really, really liked it. And so I kind of made my major into like a PR with a, like a sub emphasis on social. Being in school at USC led me to an alumna named Nancy Carr, who was the VP of corporate comms at the Hallmark Channel. And so I met her at an event that was supposed to be just like informative. And we weren't allowed to ask for a job per se, but she mentioned she was looking for an assistant. And I'm that bitch that keeps her resume in her backpack. And so, again, long story longer, she ended up hiring me. And that was my first job in PR. And it kind of just went from there. That was in 2008 when I started working for Nancy. And, it went from there. And I had a lot of entertainment, PR, and social jobs. In January 2018, I found myself unemployed and decided to work for myself. And so I established AJ Feuerman Communications. Couldn't come up with a better name. And it's like so
It's
wordy.
like Lindsay
Right?
Treat and Consulting. I get it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, my last name is hard to spell. It probably wasn't my best idea, but actually, what it came down to is that all my social media handles were AJ Feuerman, and I figured I might as well keep it really consistent, which is not a terrible idea. And it had a lot of entertainment clients, but the joy of working for myself was that I could try to do some other stuff. So I started folding in other industries, other verticals, and cut to now. So I still represent my entertainment clients, but I also have restaurants. I have some personalities. I've done PR and social for some podcasts and some brands, lifestyle brands. I took a brief detour and worked with this influencer marketing agency, and that was a really great education. And so I found myself working with like video games and car brands and health and wellness. So I've really done it all, which is like I said, and I'm sure you guys know a little that getting to work for yourself allows you that flexibility, and it's been really fun. And yeah, I guess that brings me to where we are now in my home office in Los Angeles.
Love it. So AJ, what are some key elements for a successful PR and social media strategy for restaurants specifically?
First of all, you got to have a good product, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure everyone out there who has a restaurant, no one's going into it with the intention of not having good food, right? But I've worked with restaurants where we have to talk a little bit about presentation. Obviously, doing social media for restaurants is very visual, right? Like you're not tweeting about your food, so talking to them about making your plates look nice, not just for me, but so that your customers also like want to post it up to social media, and it trickles down, right? Everything adds up to this big picture. So like making sure your staff is friendly and nice and interacting with your customers in a very friendly, almost like relationship building way. And so just creating this like all around great picture, which then consequently makes my job a lot easier. I find like with one of my clients recently, I made sure to pull all the staff together and introduce myself so that when I was running around taking pictures, people didn't think I was some crazy person. A big part of it also is managing your clients' expectations, which is true for any industry, really. If I post a couple photos, it's not going to like turn you into the next hot restaurant in LA. It might, but that's not necessarily how it works. And then on the flip side of that, also learning what my clients' expectations are, right? So like I worked with one restaurant where they're already massively successful and they just want me to post pictures because everyone else is doing it, right? And then I have another client who is brand new, just opening, so her expectations are a little bit more. Obviously, we're launching a business in LA. So yeah, that's a very wordy answer. So I hope that somewhere in there was an answer to your question.
No, that was great. I mean, it really does. It comes down to, I would say, product and presentation, right? And then, yeah, just getting the word out too. And also, like you said, not relying specifically on you for content, but also the customers themselves, like making them want to take pictures of their food.
Yeah. Make everyone a little mini ambassador. There's a lot of young staff out there, and they are probably more familiar with this stuff than I am at this point. So, like, get them all involved.
How would you say that PR for restaurants has evolved with social media?
Oh, well, definitely two big elements of that are the evolution of the creator economy or influencers, and also Yelp. I don't know. Is Yelp social media? But kind of.
I think so. I mean,
It's kind of like Google.
it's definitely digital marketing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I mean, you could argue it probably either way, but yeah, a lot of people way back when were saying influencers were a fad. Obviously, they haven't gone away, and I think they're a huge part of the economy now, right? So you can't afford to ignore them. Sometimes you have to budget for them because not all of them will come in and just take a free meal and post about it. Sometimes you have to pay their fee. These guys are making a full-time living doing this now. So, that's definitely been something that's evolved and continues to evolve. And then, the Yelp thing, I think you have to have a strategy in place for that now. It's not just people throwing up reviews. I've had clients who go in there as the owner of the business and reply to
yep.
the customers, sometimes good, sometimes less so. I've had some clients where I tell them to just not engage. I've even dealt with like bitter ex-employees who come onto Yelp and like try to take you down. So, I think you kind of have to have a strategy and like kind of a working order of how all that's going to work.
So, AJ, I know you were talking about the importance of visuals with restaurants. So, when it comes to social media platforms, what platforms do you think are most important and why?
Yeah. This is advice I give all of my clients, no matter the industry. Just because a social media platform exists doesn't mean you need to be on it. I think long gone are the days of like, I'm sure you guys remember it used to be if you signed on with a client for social, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you were like on all of them. We were all focused on Pinterest when it broke, so like restaurants, obviously, it's a very visual form of advertising,
Mhm.
right? Like you need people to see your food and your staff and the setting. So I basically recommend Instagram. And if your target customer is young enough, support is important. Sometimes I tell people, depending if they want to start doing some paid social or not, if you're going to be on Instagram, you might as well be on Facebook. You can do some really great advertising that way in tangent with one another. And I haven't had a client where this is appropriate yet, but I have seen some restaurants or chains with really effective Facebook groups. If you're the type of cult following food, you might have a Facebook group for your fans. I've seen that with clients that are not mine. I haven't had an opportunity to do that yet, but I've seen it be effective, and I think it's kind of a cool idea. I wear these bracelets, for example, from Little Words Project, and they have a Facebook group for their consumers, and they just post like feel good content and encourage people to post pictures of their bracelets. And so something like that, where you're posting your food and talking about your in restaurant experiences, and sharing specials and incentivizing your customer base with discounts or something like that. So yeah, I've seen that effective. And then the other thing, not really social media per se, but, again, if it's right for your business, some kind of newsletter can also be a really effective marketing tool. Closing for holidays or changing your hours, or mention this newsletter and you get 10% off your bill, or just general news to stay engaged with your customer base. Yeah. So those are the few things.
I personally my daughters love boba, and I subscribe to the boba shop's newsletter, and every now and again I get a 20% off coupon and I get very excited. I'm like, okay, let's go get.
Yeah, and look, if you're like, my favorite is Boba Time. They have an app, right? So a lot of the larger chains, McDonald's has an app, Starbucks has an app. So that's another way to engage with your client base. The restaurants I tend to represent are more like mom and pop shops. So like having an app is not really practical, but that's another tool that can be super effective.
Yeah, we have a Dutch Bros up the street from my house, and every time I go into the line, they have people come out with their little iPads. They're like, "Have you downloaded the app? You get a free meat
Yeah.
drink." It's like,
Yeah. I mean, look, it goes back like when you used to shop at Macy's and it was like, do you want to sign up for a Macy's card? You get 10% off your purchase today, right? It's a tale as old as time. It's
Yeah.
something we have used for a long time. It's just the technology has changed.
Yeah. And it's great in the moment. I mean, someone's sitting in their car at Dutch Brothers waiting to order. Like, what else do they have to do? Yeah, sure, I'll download the app. Why not?
And you collect your customer data. So, win-win.
Yeah, definitely. So, AJ, in your experience, I mean, I know that social media has evolved over time, but what types of creative campaigns or strategies have you seen recently that have worked exceptionally well for restaurants?
Yeah. Well, look, so a really good example is I'm currently working with a bagel shop called Boy Chick Bagels. The Boy Chick is a Yiddish term for like little boy. Kayla's nodding; she knows. So, um, so like for example, there's apparently, according to the press, there's a bagel war in Los Angeles right now, where we kind of found ourselves in this moment where lots of bagel shops were opening around the same time. So creative, we had to get creative. So like one thing we've been doing is catering breakfasts at a lot of the studios in Los Angeles. Entertainment is a massive part of the culture here. So like we catered breakfast for Fox Sports, for K-Rock, for we're doing ABC, we're doing AMC networks, so just offering that up. Just who's going to turn down like a free bagel spread? And it's really great word of mouth and they love it. And it also affords us the opportunity to collect content because we're taking pictures and videos. And I made this really cute TikTok of breakfast at Sony Pictures that we did. So there's that. Also with Boy Chick specifically, they love it when we repost their content. People tag us as collaborators and we just approve it as long as it's okay. And we're really good about engaging with messages there. It's a new shop. It's an established chain. They have 8 locations in the Bay Area, but down here it's new. So there's a lot of questions. We make sure to answer them. And people are tagging us and we're reposting as much as we can. And then, just from PR, reaching out to, we've been in the LA Times, Eater, The Infatuation. We're about to be in Time Out, so we've hit all the big trades. It's been really successful. Yeah, it's been great. So yeah, just, very creative. We had a grand opening celebration also. That was super fun. And I wish I had one on me, but, she was really, really strategic with her merchandise. So we sell t-shirts and hoodies and hats, but we also sell bagel-shaped dog toys and handkerchiefs. And so at our grand opening, I was giving out handkerchiefs and asking people to put them on their dogs. And I was taking pictures of all the dogs wearing our bandanas or handkerchiefs. And that was really cute. Dog culture in LA is a really big part of, we have nice weather. People take their dogs everywhere. So that was really cute. And actually, a little aside, I was at my dog park the other day and saw a dog wearing one of the handkerchiefs. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you gave it to me." And I was like, "Oh my God." So like, it was someone I didn't know. So that was exciting. And I was like, "Oh, effective marketing." So
Love it.
that
And
was really
awareness.
cool. Yeah, it was almost like akin to seeing like a celebrity in the wild. I was like so excited and proud of myself. And then we also have, sorry, this is a very long answer, but we also have these little like business card size coupons that give you a free bagel. So, anytime I'm there taking pictures and I ask customers if they want to be in the photo, I give them, the free coupon so that they feel like they got something out of it. And also so they come back. Right. And if I'm ever out in the public anywhere and someone mentions they live in that area or that they're looking for a bagel, I just whip one out of my purse and hand them the coupon. They've been really effective and it's a really simple way. And at the end of the day, I'm giving away what, like a $4 bagel. It's not hurting the business. So it's great. Yeah. People love free stuff. I love free stuff.
I love free stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Who doesn't love free stuff? And it doesn't have to be like, a $30,000 car. It can be a $4 bagel and sometimes that's all it takes. It's great.
I didn't know that there was a bagel war in LA right now.
Yeah, there really is. I wish I could say I was smart enough to pitch the idea, but the press has kind of run with it. And I think it's part of that is that H&H Bagels, which is a really well-established brand back east, they opened in Santa Monica like a week after we opened in Los Feliz. And so it just kind of created this or that kind of thing in the press. The truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, for anyone who knows LA, the customers in Los Feliz are not, it's not competition because they're in Santa Monica and no one is sitting around deciding if they want to drive to one or the other. You're pretty, to traffic. So like, we don't really worry about it. We're all here, all the bagels. We have room for all the bagels. So, I wish them success. They actually have a very different kind of menu than we do. So it's fun. But yeah, we got written about in the LA Times, and the New York Times was actually the LA based food journalist for the New York Times was actually the one who declared the bagel war.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, go figure.
That's so funny. Bagel war.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and our slogan is there are now good bagels in California. It's like the way it looks is there are no good bagels, and then there's like a little red pen where it puts the W at the end of no, so it says there are now good bagels in California.
Very clever. I like it.
Well,
they're pretty delicious. I'll send you guys some if you want. It's
Do they have
I'm
gluten-free bagels?
we have gluten-free and we have vegan cream cheese. I mean, if you name it, we got it. And we just said the word vegan, but we also have really delicious egg salad, tuna salad, and white fish.
Ooh.
So
I have yet to find a good bagel location in Nashville.
oh yeah, that's gotta be tough, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
So
Well, next time you're in LA, the three of us will go get some bagels and I'll give you guys some coupons.
Okay, so AJ, what type of content or what have you seen content-wise, trend-wise that seems to perform best for restaurant accounts?
I hate to sound like a broken record, but great photos, making the food look pretty. Sometimes when I go to take my photos, I'll even I bring a handkerchief and clean the outside of the plate, make sure there's no residual sauces. I just find really clean. I have found that oddly overhead photos seem to play better than head on photos. Unless it's an instance where I'm trying to show a beautiful hamburger and then I will cut it in half and show the inside. Same with a bagel, actually.
Yeah.
But people seem to like that kind of overhead aesthetic. Also something really effective, not just for the bagel shop, but I'm sure Lindsay, at least in LA, has seen, maybe in Nashville too, is Instagram walls, as I like to say. So the bagel shop opened and they had someone paint a whole mural that was on brand for them. And when you have that, it encourages people to take photos in front of it, of course. I'm sure a lot of people in LA and beyond are familiar with the pink wall at the Paul Smith store on Melrose, right? So the Instagram wall is a really effective tactic. As long as I don't know how much a pink wall represents Paul Smith, and not sure, but our wall has a lot of bagels on it, right? I'm not just going to put a blue wall up. I'm going to have branded representation. Right. Also really effective is really easy promotions. So with Boychik, we did a thing where if you showed up, we open at 7 a.m. So if you showed up at 9 a.m. before 9 a.m. in your pajamas, your bagel was free. So we did something like that. And then also what that selfishly allows us to do is, again, collect content because we're taking pictures of people in their pajamas showing up for their bagels, right? Which is really cute. Also really effective is evangelizing your staff, right? If they're not in a position to take a photo, but they see something and I'm there, they know to grab me. If they're baking something unique. And then, with a diner I work with in Toluca Lake called Patty's, we often do a special meal. So for St. Patrick's Day, we serve corned beef and cabbage. And so it was making a cute Irish themed graphic about that. And we do a champagne breakfast on Mother's Day. So doing kind of specials, and it's using ingredients we actually already have at the restaurant. So it's not a huge financial imposition to do stuff like that. And actually, something Boy Chick Bagels did, and I'm sorry to keep mentioning them, but because they just opened and I'm working with them, it's on my mind. They made bagels shaped like the LA Dodgers logo. So it's like an
Oh, wow.
LA, I'm drawing it with my finger. It's an LA shaped bagel. And I got to say, at least 50% of our customers come up to the cash register and take a picture of it. And a ton of them have ended up on Instagram. It's such an easy thing. I mean, we're just making a bagel and it's not really even, there's like almost no thought behind it in a way. It's just this easy thing. And it's the most photographed thing at the shop. So, that can be really cool. Come up with something that's on brand, but is really super unique that people want to take a picture of. I mean, the expression "do it for the gram" is true. Like, you want to do
Yeah.
stuff for the gram.
That's all really great insight.
Yeah, that's so true that
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
restaurant doesn't have to have a big budget to do something like that. They just
Not
have to
only
come up with
that,
a
like,
concept.
and it doesn't have to stay soft, right? Like, even when the bagel goes stale, no one's eating it. So, it sat out there for like a week and, oh God, I shouldn't even be divulging this, but, and then we just remake new ones, but it's very photographable.
So moving into influencers a little bit more. I know we've touched on it a little bit more. I know that a lot of restaurants are working on a limited budget for their marketing, PR, and social media efforts.
Yeah.
How can a restaurant leverage influencer marketing when they're on a limited budget to work with someone for PR and social?
Yeah. I've been working with influencers for a really long time. Not to sound massively self-serving, but I think I was one of the first publicists to actually embrace influencers. And a lot of that is a result of the fact that I had a really successful blog in the early aughts. So I kind of found myself being an influencer. And back then we were just bloggers, right? Um, so I've really kind of sat back in awe watching the creator economy grow and evolve and change. And I think the benefit of working in the restaurant hospitality industry is that, for me at least, it's a local campaign. I'm not trying to hit New York or Dallas or Chicago, right? So I don't really have to go after I don't have to go after these influencers with millions of followers. So that's the first thing. I'm not paying their prices. I'm really working on a local level. And there's nothing wrong with working with someone who's got 2,000 followers if they're LA focused. And what that means also is that with those smaller followings, sometimes I don't have to pay them. They are happy to come in for a free meal or a free bagel. So that's the first thing. You don't have to go after those huge influencers. Making it hyper local is just fine. And then also, very simple things that are easily manufactured with a small budget is just having signage up in the restaurant that has your social handles or maybe a QR code people can scan. At my diner, there's little like cards on all the tables. It's like that card that's always there with the specials, but has the social handles on it. So stuff like that. And then also, when you're posting your content, if you have the opportunity to tag people who are in the photo so that they reshare it. These are all like really simple things that almost sound like no-brainers, but they can be really effective, low cost, if not free, marketing tactics.
Yeah, totally. I think the signage one is such a big one too, to have
And
the signage on a table or in your
yeah,
front at the register.
yeah. And I'm surprised, frankly, when I go anywhere and I don't see that, almost any business really, because that's easy. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, we actually have a client, which this will air after this happens, but we have a client who's in some local bars out here. And so they've asked if I can go in and kind of see how they're being represented, if it's on the menu, what
Yeah.
the bar staff like knows about the product. So I basically have to go in and pretend that I don't work with the company and do a little
Yeah.
bit of recon and report back.
Yeah. And the really nice thing also about Boy Chick is they do have like a cult following in the Bay Area. And even though I'm only hired for LA, we only have one Instagram account. And so, the thing that's cool about that is We also get the vendors involved. So, for example, like someone was installing a brand new refrigeration system in one of their newer locations and they posted about it and tagged us. So, why not? Like work with your vendors who also have socials.
So I'd love to talk with you a little bit about reviews. We kind of touched on Yelp earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
What are your recommendations on how a restaurant can approach reviews, both positive and negative, and, on social media, Yelp, Google, wherever they might be?
Yeah. So I'll tell a good Yelp story. Actually, I worked once with a business owner in the restaurant industry. People would, if people wrote things on Yelp that were a little negative or questionable, unbeknownst to me, he was logging in and replying to people. Uh, like, so for example, someone would complain about the price of something and he would go in there and like break down his business costs and explain why something costs what it costs,
Oh, no.
and not necessarily in the nicest way. So, we put the halt on that real quick. I don't recommend it. I think if you get a negative review, you let it lie. Or if you're set up for it, invite them to come back, tell them who to ask for, and make sure they have a really good experience. So that's one thing to do. Um, I've also, not in my experience, but in a peer of mine's experience, they had a business owner doing something like what I just mentioned, but it kind of worked for their brand. So they actually encouraged it. So, you never know. It's
It's
kind
like
of like
Wendy's.
it's kind of like the soup Nazi. Like, sometimes being abrasive is on brand for you, I guess. No soup for you. And, just like in general, because right now I'm opening a new business and I'm getting reviews from the press. I mean, look, I've done PR for movies for 17 years as well. You can't ask for a positive review. All you can
Mhm.
do is bring them in, hope they, make sure they have the best experience possible, and, have to have faith in your brand that they're going to like what they eat and post something nice about it. And so far, at least with my current clients in that space, we've been really fortunate.
What about, I know there's been instances with some of our clients at least where people have left negative reviews, but we know it's not actually a real person. It's a competitor or somebody just trying to be nasty, and you can't
Yeah.
really remove them off of Google, or,
Yeah.
you can't hide them. So what would you suggest in an instance like
I
that?
mean, it's rough, right? Like I had a business where a bitter ex server who got justifiably let go um, came back onto Yelp under multiple identities and just kept
Mm,
writing negative reviews. On Yelp, you can flag it and you can actually, there is an option that says, former bitter employee. I'm sure it's worded much differently than that, but you can check that box and they are pretty good about getting those down.
mhm,
So like Yelp is actually less of a problem. It's still kind of feral, but there are some things you can do on there.
mhm,
But yeah, you're right. Like largely it is hard to battle that. On Facebook, you can hide a negative comment or, even
mhm,
delete or block. So yeah, I don't, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure if there's like an effective way to combat that except to just ignore it and pray they go away. And then encouraging your customers to just post their positive reviews.
mhm,
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a really tough component of this business to battle that. And look, like in the movie industry, for example, you get a lot of trolls on like IMDb or Amazon or Letterbox to give your movie 1 star. And those are very unmonitored. Like IMDb does not really have administration. There's not someone taking down those trolls. So,
mhm.
it's the same thing. I just tell people like rise above, ignore, rise above. Um, encourage people who have seen your movie to go on and post their positive reviews. So, I think that that's really the best you can do right now until someone figures out a better way to monitor all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had to tell clients not to take things super personally.
Yeah.
Especially if we know, I mean, we have one who they were getting nasty reviews about food that they don't even make, and so they were
Yeah.
like, "That's not a real
I mean,
person."
we've had that. I've seen that as well. I worked with a restaurant a couple years ago where people were talking about, our orange chicken. And it was like, a mom and pop, American, like a Denny's equivalent, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
You came to the wrong place.
yeah. I mean, hopefully, yeah, I know if you came to my like burger joint and ordered orange chicken, we need to have another conversation. But,
Right.
you know, sometimes I joke like you haven't made it until you've dealt with a negative review or trolls, right?
Yeah.
So, I think you just also like have to have a sense of humor about it. Because at the end of the day, if your food is good and your staff is good and your brand is established, like I don't think that stuff really ends up mattering.
Mhm.
So like trusting yourself is probably the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Trusting yourself and knowing that you have a good product
Yeah.
and growing some thick skin too, because it is
Yeah.
social. And like you said, like a negative comment is a sign that you've made it.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you've made it enough to have a troll. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It was for a movie. This was several years ago, but someone wrote like a scathing review and it was clearly bullshit. Like it was like they hadn't even watched the movie. And we turned it into an Instagram post. Like we just
Uh,
turned it into like a visual thing and kind of like poked fun at it, which in the context of that particular film actually kind of tracked for our brand tone.
mhm.
So like every now and then, like we got another movie. Sorry, I keep mentioning movies, but it's we got pinged for on Instagram for posting something that was a little too racy for their liking, even though I maintain it was fine. So we reposted it with like a censor bar over it, and people were amused. So there are some instances where you can kind of flip the narrative and use it to your advantage. So keep
Mhm.
an eye out for those moments too.
yeah, that's good advice, AJ. I like that. And in terms of areas for improvement, for restaurant PR and social media, what are some common things that you see restaurants maybe doing in the space that you think there's some room to improve upon?
Well, I mean, we mentioned the signage. I don't know why, if you have social, I don't know why you wouldn't post it in the business um and share it somewhere. Even like if people pay at a cash register, having it up at your cash wrap is the easiest place to put it. If you have tables where people sit down and eat, putting it on the table is a really easy thing. And I don't understand why everyone isn't doing that because it's such an easy thing to do. And I think people also they can miss out with their staff. Making your staff very conscious of the fact that there's social media happening is a smart thing to do. Getting them involved if you can, empowering them. If they're happy in the workplace, maybe they'll post photos of themselves at work, and encouraging people to do that is fine. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of little things you can do where there's room for improvement, kind of generally speaking. Um, and then also, don't if you're gonna have Instagram, don't just throw your food on a plate, have some pride in the presentation.
Oh,
Remember the napkin.
the handkerchief.
Wipe the handkerchief.
Oh,
Remember the handkerchief.
oh,
Sorry. Wiping
yeah.
the plate.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've watched Top Chef. You always see them when they're before they plate and like they plate and they serve, and you always see them kind of cleaning up the outer rim of the dish, right? Like I mean, they're playing for cash, but same kind of concept.
What advice would you give to a restaurant owner that's trying to do social media or PR on their own?
Don't. Hire me. Well, do your research, look at what your competitors are doing, what they're doing well, what you can steal or borrow. Um, let's be honest, let's what you can steal. Look at what they're doing that maybe isn't effective and don't do that or improve upon it, doing it on your own. Um, you know, Make sure you're taking good pictures. Uh, maybe you're still working on like an iPhone 7. I wouldn't necessarily do that. Maybe you even want to get like a nice camera. I personally just use portrait mode on my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and it's been very effective, but doesn't work for everybody. Uh, and just if you're doing it on your own, patience and maybe doing some education, going online and learning about actual tools. I would even go as far to say that there are tons of classes in the LA area and beyond, or online courses where you can kind of learn how to do this stuff. Maybe you want to invest in that one time so you don't have to pay someone long term. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're really super busy running your business. And I would say if you do have the budget, hire someone to help you, at least to get things started. That's my serious recommendation.
A great recommendation.
That's a very good recommendation.
I can recommend 3 people right now. 1,
3. So AJ, you've worked across a number of different industries throughout your career. What unique challenges do you think restaurants have with social media and PR compared to other industries like entertainment, for example?
Well, I think influencers are the big difference. We're hugely reliant on our customers, because they're posting their own content. You're not going to necessarily see someone go to a movie and post a picture of the screen and say it doesn't look very good, right? So I think that the visual in real time component of the restaurant industry is unique in of itself. The thing that you're vulnerable to, like these Yelp reviews and Google reviews and whatever else, is certainly unique, because people will look at them before they make their dining choices, right? A lot of times, I'm sure people, before they buy a face mask, really invested customers probably look at reviews. But I think that, the way food is reviewed is unique to this particular space. Every restaurant has its own unique challenges. It can depend on what neighborhood you're in. It could depend on, are you breaking the mold with something new? Are you competing in an oversaturated marketplace? Are you preparing your dishes a certain way? Are you being artistic? Are you creating a new space? So I just think like every single restaurant presents its own unique challenges as well. In other spaces, or like, since we're talking about movies, you definitely have different genres, but movies are movies, right? And restaurants in a sense are all restaurants, but they're really hyper focused on one area. So if you fail in that neighborhood, you're screwed. It's not like you can get other people to, like, if you're not hitting it big in LA, hopefully people see you're moving in San Francisco. You don't have that luxury with a restaurant. So, because your market is super niche, you have to really hope that it is successful in that physical space.
Yeah, it is so locally based too. It's a good point.
AJ, before we wrap this up, we would love to learn more about how restaurants can work with PR and social media professionals effectively to achieve success.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you have to kind of establish your engagement strategy with your consultant from the get-go, right? Are you gonna talk every week? Are you gonna talk twice a week? Is your consultant gonna come down in person regularly? Is it a one-time visit and you just got to get all your content done? I think communication between myself and the client is pivotal. Even if you're a person who doesn't mind texting with your clients, making yourself available as much as possible in real time is important in this particular industry. And then also just kind of setting up, I have one client who's like, just take the pictures and post them. Right. And I have had other clients that want to see it beforehand and have approvals, which is their right. So I think also just kind of establishing your general working order of things, how that's going to transpire throughout, is important as well. And, if your client is someone who doesn't have as much experience with social, being open and honest and educating them a little bit is a really nice thing you can do for the client. So, just like in kind of broad strokes, I think establishing all of that, just like from the get-go, can set you up for a lot more success.
Yeah, I think that's really good insight, both as a client or as someone working with a restaurant. I mean, I think we touched on a couple P's today. We touched on product, presentation, pictures, right?
Yeah.
Protocol and process. So
Yeah.
all of that is super important. And I think great insight to working with someone on PR and social in restaurants and in other industries too. So thanks so much, AJ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AJ, if someone is looking to get in touch with you or connect with you on social media, where can they find you?
Well, so like I said before, I am AJ Feuerman, all one word, pretty much everywhere, uh, and including Blue Sky, Threads, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the things. And then also, just as a fun little aside for myself, I have an Instagram called Hollywood Brunch, all one word. I'm kind of a brunch fanatic, and so many years ago, I started that account, and it's got like 8,000 followers on it, and generally, I just make brunch recommendations, although I have been known to post about lunch, dinner as well. But yeah, that's a really fun place to follow me. I post there every now and again, and I really enjoy doing that as well.
And fun fact, AJ never disappoints on the brunch recommendations. All the spots that we've ever been to for brunch together are always
Yeah,
very
where did we go? That was more for like regular old lunch, but we went to AOC, and
yes.
that's actually one of my best brunch recommendations in LA. It's delicious.
It was very good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, AJ, thank you so much for joining us today and
Thank
sharing so
you.
much great information with our listeners.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's so good to see you, and this was so fun.
Yeah, awesome. So good to see you too. And next time it'll be in real life.
Yes. Yes, you will come visit us.
Yes, I need to get back out there.
All right. Thanks for listening to Dose of Social. We're out.
Bye.
Bye.